morning. It's Memorial Day in Elmhurst, Illinois, and we're here to bring you the 106th Memorial Day Parade. I'm Ken Bartels, along with my partner Tony Cazzone, and Tony, we start off with the Elmhurst Police and Fire Color Guard.
We have a beautiful day this morning, Ken. At least it's not raining. It's a little chilly out, but not raining.
It's not bad. It's all good.
And we have a good crowd too.
We do. Elmhurst Police Chief Michael McLean coming into your picture there. There's Mike. Here's the parade banner for the 106th parade. Parade presented by the Chamber of Commerce, the City of Elmhurst, the Elmhurst Park District, and the American Legion. Theme, as usual, is always remember.
Following the presentation banner is the Chicago Highlanders, pipes and drums.
We have Elmhurst city officials led by Mayor Levin. Several of the aldermen are there. Some of the other leaders of our great city of Elmhurst.
Good to see all of them out today.
Got the Operation Freedom Afghanistan campaign flag. The flags throughout the parade are all carried by Cub Scout, Boy Scout, and Girl Scout troops here in Elmhurst. We're about to start the parade of vehicles, Tony.
Yes, and here we go with our Elmhurst Fire Department and Chief Richard Dufort. There's a vintage fire engine. I don't know how old that thing is, but it's really in great shape. They keep that nice.
Put together and restored completely here in Elmhurst, as I understand it, Tony,
Absolutely.
over the years. So.
And as we watch our fire department go by, we're being honored and greeted here by the CEO, President of the Elmhurst Chamber of Commerce and Industry, John Quigley. And John, before we get going here, I have a special token for you that my barber over at the head designer, Dan Dvorak, wanted to make sure that you got that.
That's product placement.
Yeah, I just saw Danny along the parade route in his normal place. The only difference over the years, now he's got a ton of grandkids out with him.
Well, there you go.
Yeah,
Exactly.
There you go.
So, one, I'd like to thank you guys again for coming out and doing the television coverage of this parade. 106th, started right after the end of World War I and been going strong ever since.
Absolutely. We're happy to be here. We're happy to do it.
Absolutely.
And to remember all of those who gave the ultimate sacrifice for us so we enjoy our freedom that we have today.
Yeah, a lot of people confuse Veterans Day and Memorial Day, and Veterans Day is about all who served, but Memorial Day in particular is about those who gave their lives. And that's why it's a more solemn event.
Absolutely.
You don't hear fire engines, sirens, police sirens, that kind of thing. There's still music, patriotic music and that kind of stuff, but it's more solemn in remembering all of those who gave their lives to protect the freedoms we enjoy on a daily basis.
Absolutely. That's a good point, John. There are no sirens. We don't, this is more of a solemn type celebration.
Yeah, and for those out here or watching on TV, you also want to make sure you get to see the veteran ceremony that starts at 11 after the parade. It's a great event, and you get more of the heartstrings getting tugged at during that ceremony.
Yeah, absolutely. What was the crowd like as you went through the parade?
Surprisingly good. I was worried with the overcast temperature, threat of rain, a little chilly, that it would be thin, but it's not. People come out and they expect to celebrate all things good about Elmhurst on Memorial Day.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Thank you for being a co-chair along with Ralph Pechanio on putting on another great parade for us in Elmhurst.
Thank you. I've been doing it with Ralph for 25 years, and he's been doing it a little longer. And thanks for the Mountain Dew.
Absolutely. Enjoy.
All right. Thank you, John.
John Quigley, President and CEO of the Elmhurst Chamber of Commerce and Industry.
To catch us up a little bit for some things that went by while we were talking with John, the Elmhurst Fire Department, Oakbrook Fire Department, York Center Fire Protection District. We had the Iraqi sign go by. The Antioch Brass Quartet also went by. They're an absolute fixture in Elmhurst parades. And now the military officers have been going by.
We want to mention too, Ken, these convertibles are provided by members of the Elmhurst Chamber of Commerce and Industry, including Larry Roche, Chrysler, Jeep, Dodge.
Absolutely. And in no particular order, Tony, we've got representatives from many of the services.
Yes, the first car is the U.S. Army. The chauffeur is Major Michael R. Brackey, driving Colonel Robert Brackey. And I was told that they were supposed to have a 1946 Jeep that actually...
yeah, that went by.
Okay,
that did
I'm
go
glad
by.
it did.
Absolutely.
Colonel Brackey is the son of a World War II vet, and he bought that 1946 Jeep. The second car, driven by Tom Beaver, 1967 Olds, he's transporting Lieutenant Colonel Martin Jensen. Our third car is a convertible being driven by Captain Stephen Tompos, and he is transporting Captain Lori Tompos. Fourth car is from the U.S. Air Force, being driven by Ernie Ionata in his 1965 Impala, and he's transporting General John W. Wendell. Our fifth car is from the U.S. Space Force, being driven by Sergeant Robert Daniels in the Air Force, 2023 Corvette, and representing Space Force with a designated rider was Sergeant Robert Daniels. Our sixth car from the U.S. Navy is a large open Jeep driven by Carla Elms, U.S. Navy, engine man second class, transporting Commander David A. Fry, CWO-3 Tyrone Clark, and Petty Officer second class Miguel Palermo. And our seventh car, U.S. Marine Corps Mercedes, driven by Jamie Gutierrez, transporting Corporal Cameron Kasmar. Our eighth vehicle, U.S. Coast Guard 2016 Mustang, driven by Jim Davidovich, transporting Marine Science Tech third class Melanie Kibler. And do we have a ninth car? Well, coming up here. Here's coming the Mustang. Mustang driven by, that's Mark Mulliner.
And here's the Elmhurst American Legion Color Guard going by. The representatives of the military, they get out of their vehicles and they make their way to the presentation stage where they'll be reviewing the rest of the parade.
And we want to just follow up quickly that car, the Mustang, driven by Mark Mulliner. He was driving Jose Galarza and guest, representing Major Edwin H. Walker.
We have our parade Grand Marshal, Petty Officer Second Class Rus Strahan with the U.S. Navy, a Vietnam vet, active with the Legion, and somebody well known to many, many, many people in Elmhurst.
We'll mention our Grand Marshal and some of his background after we listen to the cadence from our next group.
Farragut Career Academy, Patton Academy, Drill and Drums Team. So Tony, you were going to talk about Rus Strahan a little bit.
Yes, Rus Strahan, our Grand Marshal. Russ volunteered to service in Vietnam in January of 1968, and his duties included patrolling the Saigon, Mekong, and Basak rivers in small gunboats. They were called patrol boat riverines, PBRs, and they were operating out of the Saigon Naval Shipyard. Strahan's father served with General George S. Patton in World War II as a staff sergeant. Russ is a lifetime member of the Veterans of Foreign Wars, and he's been active in the American Legion, THB Post 187 for 16 years. He was the head miller at Growy Mill for 15 years and still serves as our board of directors. Now, in the meantime, we're honored by another special guest. Please join me in welcoming the mayor of Elmhurst, Scott Levin.
Yeah, he
Good morning,
did not.
Tony. Good morning,
the mayor
Ken.
did not serve with George Patton.
No,
but
I was in the food service in college with my butterscotch jacket. Was very sharp in uniform. Yeah.
Oh, have you continued that that food service or no?
Yes, I have.
Very good.
So thank you guys for your annual service here. It's very. You guys
Absolutely. Thank
have
you.
deep history here with Elmhurst, so you know everything that's going on.
Thank you, Mayor. What was the crowd like as you were coming through the parade? We talked to John Quigley a little bit earlier, and he said surprisingly you was pretty full.
It was a good crowd. Sometimes, as I will probably say in my remarks today, it's unfortunate that more people don't come out for just this 1 hour service, because it's such an important ceremony for the purpose of honoring those who've given the ultimate sacrifice. But great community spirit. It's a well. What do we got? You're the one that keeps track of the number of units in the parade. What do you got this year?
This year we had close to 70 this year.
That's pretty good. I saw one of my hockey teammates was running the bagpipers right in front of us, so they came from afar.
Sure.
It's a great day here.
It is. It's a great day. It's nice to hear the marching units when they go by. It's nice watching the equipment and whatnot. But like you say, it's also the purpose of all of this is remembering those who gave the ultimate sacrifice so that we enjoy the freedoms that we have today.
I was talking to General Wendell. I didn't realize he was one of our own. Lives here right in Elmhurst, 91 years old.
Yep.
And I was thanking him for coming out without realizing that he lives right here. So, in fact, I see a lot of these vets year after year, and it's always good to see them,
Absolutely. We've had a great day today. At least there's no rain. It's a little chilly, but we're getting warmed up now, watching all the units go by, and as we celebrate one of our biggest parades in Elmhurst.
Well, we have great intergovernmental service. I'll call the weather service, make sure they keep it up. We'll keep it a little cloudy for the moment and bring the sun out at noon, so don't you worry.
There you go. I'm going to keep you in my back pocket for future events, knowing that.
Keep up the good work, guys.
Thank you, Mayor.
Take care.
Mayor Scott Levin, City of Elmhurst. Thank you.
And on camera, Alderman Jennifer Veremis and her involvement with the USO of Illinois, followed by the Daughters of the American Revolution. These are USO, the DAR, the SAR are all important support groups and honoring groups for veterans and the families of veterans throughout the country.
Just to finish up on a little bit of the background of our Grand Marshal, Rus Strahan. He was the head miller at Growy Mill for 15 years and still serves on the board of directors. And Ken, I wasn't aware of that. In 1978, he started work for the NSM American group. It was a German jukebox company was working for Bally Gaming in North American sales. And Russ now has 14 great grandchildren. God bless him.
Well, that's quite an accomplishment. We just had a shot of the viewing stand, and that's always very impressive when you see these gentlemen from the community and elsewhere all in their uniforms. It's just another measure of why this parade is important to so many in our community.
It's impressive too, Ken. They wave at everyone, and they'll even salute at times, and it shows a great deal of respect.
Here's the Elmhurst Heritage Foundation and the Elmhurst History Museum marching together. They're very busy. They're getting ready to start to put together their annual beer fest on Saturday, September 14. And they're passing out flyers to that effect, but the Heritage Foundation and the museum, right now the exhibit at the museum has to do with the home front at World War II. It's called Victory at Home. You should get out and see it. It's there until, I think, October. No, I'm sorry, it's only there through the end of August, so you need to get over there.
Yeah, that's a great exhibit. Also there is, by all accounts, the story of Elmhurst. That's pretty cool.
It is.
An ongoing
It absolutely
exhibit.
is. And now we're going to listen to the York High Marching Dukes Band out of their regular green and into their Memorial Day red.
The York Community High School Marching Dukes Band, Michael Pavlik, director, and Will Ernst, assistant director. That was chilling. What did God Bless America? I love that song.
That was great. Absolutely. Marching in time. Once again, it's this, they're out of their usual green and into red. Red looks good on them.
Red for Memorial Day.
So Tony, do you know why the tubas are always last? I have no idea, having never been in a marching band. I can play the kazoo. That's about as far as I get.
My guess is because they have such a deep, loud sound.
That could be.
It carries over the whole bunch. I don't know.
Here's the Elmhurst Park District, one of the sponsors of the parade, along with the Chamber and the Legion and the city. They're having a strong year, as they usually do, all sorts of activities, and of course the summer activities for the community as well as kids. Pools are open.
We love our park district. They do a really, really great job. As a matter of fact, that's why a lot of people move to Elmhurst, not only for our schools and our safe neighborhoods, but for our parks and all the activities. Ken, when I was working with the city of Elmhurst, I had the pleasure of working with Angela Ferrantino. She's now the Director of Facilities, and with Jim Rogers,
Sure, absolutely.
the Executive Director, on many projects that we worked on together. Great people. They do a great job. We love our parks.
The Elmhurst Knights of Columbus Color Guard, the Father McDonald Council 1911 Club. Some vehicles going by, vintage and not vintage, but going by nonetheless.
Knights of Columbus here in Elmhurst do a lot of charitable work for the community, and you see them out here. I think it's in the fall time with the Tootsie Rolls, raising money for the mentally challenged. 4 degrees in the Knights of Columbus. 4 different initiations. A great group. John Nicoli wanted me to mention also, anybody interested in joining the Knights, contact John Nicoli.
Good morning, sir.
Looked like that was Paul Cook that went by in that
Oh, I didn't see. Could have been.
red three-wheeler.
Could have been. Yeah, I think the parade crowd, the crowd right around here is filled in rather nicely, Tony.
Yes,
so I think folks figured out that it's not supposed to rain until much, much later today. Here's Cindy Cronin Cahill from the DuPage County Board, representing District 2.
District 2 is a major portion of Elmhurst. I think it's everything north of the Prairie Path.
I think that's correct. Yes.
And it was that Cronin family that had the 135 building on Palmer Drive. Remember that?
Oh yes. Now it's Park District.
Park.
It's a park. Absolutely. The League of Enchantment, the Chicago chapter. You know all these guys, Tony? Thor and Spider-Man and Batman and...
I don't know them personally, but I've known of them.
No, you don't go out with them regularly?
No, I haven't made a habit of that. But
okay. Well, Captain
looks like it would be fun.
Captain America and Snow White. I tell you, this is good. It's good. Representatives, U.S. House of Representative Chuy Garcia, representing the Illinois 4th Congressional District. I don't think he was there, but
no, I don't think
a
so.
representative for him, his delegates were there.
Yeah. DuPage County Sheriff James Mendrick just went by in our picture. And now we're listening to and you're watching the Merry Marchers Band. Don Sadowski is the director. They were here last year for the first time, and we're happy to have them back again.
Yeah. Now, the Merry Marchers Sitting Band, they don't appear to be marching much.
No.
But that's okay.
But I'm glad you picked up on that.
Well, those little things.
I did notice they have a tuba
in the back.
In the back.
Yes, exactly right. Yeah. I don't know. We need to start a trend. Put the tubas in the front. Yeah.
That'd be different.
Yeah. But I'm sure you're right about that.
People could ask, why are they in the front?
I think the deep sounds need to be in the back of the band.
I think so.
But we're glad to have the Merry Marchers here.
Yeah, we are. I want to point out, too, one of the musicians, a trombone player, is Greg Schorsch. And he's the trombone player for a very popular band that we all know called Lake Effect.
Absolutely. Absolutely. When's your new CD coming out?
As soon as
you make
like
one?
Right. Yeah. There was a lot of work putting out the first one we had, but
there's some cars representing the Rotary Club of Elmhurst and their scholarship winners.
Rotary Club, their motto is service above self. And some of the giving that the Rotary Club does, they give assistance to organizations such as DuPage Pads, the Elmhurst Walk-In Assistance Network, Bridge Communities, and NAMI DuPage as well.
And as I said, an annual scholarship as well. Crestview Community Church, a group of their parishioners going by.
They just finished a major remodeling and
Yes.
addition on their
on the,
place at St. Charles and
the north entrance. Very, very nice.
Yeah, came out very nice.
I mentioned earlier that all of the war remembrance signs are being carried by Cub and Boy and Girl Scouts. This is the Persian Gulf War sign, Cub Scout Pack 23. Premier Child Care following them. Premier Child Care, one of several child care operations in the city, and we're glad to have them marching in the parade today.
And following them is going to be the Elmhurst YMCA. The YMCA has been around forever here in Elmhurst. I even used to work out at the Y years ago. They're still a great organization, have a lot of activities, and we're still happy to have them with us.
Oh, absolutely.
As a matter of fact, Ken, somebody posted just recently on Facebook, and it showed a microphone that had WLS on it, the radio station, and it was a picture of Dex Card.
Dex Card.
Remember Dex Card from years ago?
Yeah,
he had the Wild Goose,
he did.
several of them around the area, and Elmhurst Y was one of them.
Yep.
Fun place.
Dex
Everybody used to
Card,
come out for dances.
Dick Biondi.
Dick Biondi was another one.
Larry Lujak.
Oh, hey,
you gotta
you remember
all those guys.
Ron Britton.
Ron Britton.
And you're now listening to the voices of the chorus of DuPage. Korean War and Vietnam War signs being carried by Cub Scout Pack number 24.
th Memorial Day Parade here in Elmhurst, Illinois. Probably about at its 2/3 mark, I would say. It's once again been a very, very somber event, as it should be, remembering and commemorating people who gave the ultimate sacrifice in service.
Our Elmhurst Lions Club just coming through.
Jim Warden as the top lion in the area this year. His service as continuing on. Jim, long-term member of the Elmhurst Lions Club.
And the Elmhurst Lions are dedicated to raising funds for the benefit of the local community.
Serve Pro Elmhurst. also very active in the Elmhurst community as a disaster recovery team company. Got J-Dog. Well, not, wait a minute. No, they don't. I don't. This is the Elmhurst Seventh-day Advocates, I believe, coming by.
Yes.
Yes. Elmhurst Little Sentinels going by as well. Pathfinder Club, all part of the Seventh-day Adventists.
And coming into our picture now, the Vitality Women's Physical Therapy and Wellness. They look like a physical fit group.
As they should. I think Elmhurst as a community with a great number of fitness facilities, gymnasiums, workout places. I mean, there are many of them throughout the community, which is obviously good for the overall health of the community and their members, and
keeps us all young too.
Absolutely. And I need all the help I can get. Republic Services going by, city's waste removal folks,
and they do a great job. I tell you, they're Johnny on the spot all the time.
Dr. Dogs. We got American Taxi Transport coming through, and behind them I think you can already hear the Elmhurst District 205 combined middle schools marching bands, and directors Brian Berg, head of third night Sabrina Steck, and Ricardo Vasquez.
Outstanding.
Absolutely. It's nice to have them in the parade again.
205 Combined Middle Schools Band. Yes, it's great to have them back again. Outstanding.
I want to take this opportunity to mention the Veterans Memorial Service that immediately follows the parade in Wilder Park. As John Quigley alluded to in his time with you, Tony, it's a very moving service recognizing veterans of the community who have passed away in the past 12 months, as well as remembering all of the fallen people over time in the service of our great nation.
Yes, absolutely. It is a very moving service. They do a great job putting that together, and they do it with the utmost honor. Reby Storage and Moving Company just gone by. Now we're seeing America's best fire, water, and exteriors.
It's a parade that so far, Tony, has been amazingly gap-free, although I think we've got one right now. So this is an opportunity to once again talk about the memorial service following. Mayor Levin will be involved. Bill Shanklin from the American Legion, well known in the community, is the MC. John Quigley will be involved as well. There'll be music and recognition of service individuals over time. It's absolutely something that if you've never experienced it, you should come in person some year, but if you're watching this broadcast, please stick around and pay attention to the memorial service. Here's St. Peter's United Church of Christ, where all are welcome, and we're glad to welcome them to the parade as well.
Our next unit is the Elmhurst Bicycle Club. They have their big event coming up later this year. Isn't that the cycling classic?
Oh, right. The Elmhurst Cycling Classic is returning to the streets. Actually, one of the streets of the Elmhurst Cycling Classic is right here, yeah. Prospect. And the course wraps around the university. It's going to be June 8th, all day of June 8th. And this year, they've also added a running race to the cycling agenda, yes. So that'll bring out an
even bigger crowd.
So it'll be nice to have the Elmhurst Cycling Classic return. They're part of a 2-day cycling competition, with the second day, June 9th, being down in Kankakee. So that will be an interesting couple of days in this area.
Yes, World War II and World War I signs had gone by with the Cub Scouts, number 26, and then the Chiefs Hockey Club had gone by.
Yeah, they went by also, too, some of them, right? It's in fact, they're still going by.
Yeah, still going by. So you're right, Ken. Not many gaps in our parade this time. It's been moving along very, very well.
Parade marshals are throughout the parade, trying to coordinate the marchers, as well as keeping them in order and keeping the parade on pace.
Yeah, we got radio communication also
with the York Radio Club.
York
keeps
Radio
us
Club
informed of who's in, who's out, where they are, if they made a wrong turn somewhere along the way, and they should be back shortly.
Yes.
We know about it.
Yeah.
I haven't seen any of the drones today yet, but that doesn't mean they're not there. So
yeah, it's true. They're hiding in the clouds.
They are,
I think.
And we have to mention that the fire department brought out their absolutely gigantic American flag, which they have.
We have not gotten a shot
on
of
their
that.
On their apparatus, their boom apparatus.
We need to get a shot of that.
Really a nice addition. It's very impressive.
And it's in the perfect setting. It's right by the
trees,
Veterans
the
Memorial Park.
It'll be a nice backdrop for the ceremony in a few minutes. So it's 106th Memorial Day. I don't know very many communities. I'm sure there are some, but I don't know offhand very many communities with a history of 106
It's a long
parades.
time.
And I was thinking back to the pandemic and preparing for the parade, where there were a couple of years where the parade did not happen.
Yeah.
But even then, there was a military convoy. The city put together, or the parade organizers put
Yes.
together a short convoy that went through all 7 wards of Elmhurst on Memorial Day. So even then, the spirit was kept alive,
We were
and
still doing something.
and we were still remembering.
Yeah, absolutely. Good point, Ken. Spanish-American War and Civil War signs, Scouts BSA Troop number 417 and Cub Scout Pack Force 417.
And I think that the Dare group snuck in there someplace too, Tony. I think
We did.
I think the 5th grade
yes.
Dare folks
Yes.
slid by during in that
Yes, as
period
we were
well.
kibitzing.
Yeah. Well, that's okay.
The DARE group, that stands for Drug Abuse Resistance Education, and the primary object of DARE is to significantly reduce and eliminate young people's use of alcohol, tobacco, and drugs. It's a very great program Elmhurst has, especially for the 5th graders, and they do a great job with it.
We'll listen to the West Town Chorus. Superior Air Ground Ambulance Service with a vintage ambulance followed by a current version. You have to say they're pretty dramatically different.
Yeah,
and the
I'll
equipment
say
inside
the
is
old
even
and the
more
new.
dramatically
Oh my
different.
God, that reminds me of the unit they were using in Ghostbusters, I think, right?
Very close, absolutely. Very close. Absolutely.
We've got a 1955 Chevy pickup truck driven by Harold
We just plugged it a few minutes ago.
Johannesson.
Appreciate it. You want to interrupt here?
No, it's fine. You bet. Just had a couple of drop-ins from the Elmhurst Cycling Classic.
We had the Yorkfield Presbyterian Church had gone by. And now you can hear them. It's the Celebration Brass.
Here's the Kiwanis Club of Elmhurst and Veterans of Elmhurst University carrying the giant U.S. flag.
That is always just a great sight. What a great part of our parade.
It's a great sight, and it also leads
Love our flag.
to pretty much the end of the 106th Memorial Day Parade. We want to thank once again the parade organizers, the Elmhurst Chamber of Commerce and Industry, the American Legion, the Park District, and the city of Elmhurst. 106 years is a long time. It doesn't happen accidentally.
No, it takes many hands. A lot of work goes on behind the scenes. Everybody works together really well. We're a great team, and it shows when we put on a great parade just like this.
So we've got the York Radio Club that was providing update services to you and I, Tony.
Yep, I want to thank especially Mike from that club. He was right near us.
The closing vehicle, if you will, in the parade is a representative of Elmhurst's oldest business, the Elmhurst Chicago Stone Company.
A lot of history there with that place. A lot of history there.
Yeah.
Coming through with one of their very spiffy ready-mix trucks. And Ken, right at the end of the parade, the caboose bringing up the end, the Elmhurst Police Department, a vehicle driven by the administrative sergeant, Anthony Cazzone.
I wonder how he got special mention, Tony.
We want to thank the Elmhurst Police. They keep us safe.
They absolutely do.
They keep us safe. They do a great job.
All right, Tony, that does it for us. Thanks again for joining me. It's always a pleasure.
Glad to be here.
106th Annual Elmhurst Memorial Day Parade wrapping up and going straight over to the Veterans Memorial Ceremony. We'll see you again.
Bye-bye, everyone.
Please rise for the presentation of the colors.
Please be seated. Welcome to our post-parade military ceremony. We're glad that you're here, and we're glad that the rain is going to stay away. Now, because I forget to do this every year, I'm going to do it now. These roses you see up here are for the ladies after the program. I always forget to say that. And I always get chastised by Quigley, so I didn't miss it this year, John. At this time, I would like to introduce Eric Palia. He is assisting us today as the Officer of the Day and helped plan and execute this hopefully really, really good ceremony. At this time, I'd like to invite our Commander, John Scudder, for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Please all rise. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And now it's my pleasure to introduce one of the stars of our program. I know you've heard her before, Miss Paige Brooke. She is going to sing the Star Spangled Banner.
and bright stars through the perilous fights, o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Wow. We're literally watching her grow up on film.
Wow.
At this time, I'd like to welcome, wait a second. Okay, yeah, right now we're going to have the reading of the Gettysburg Address, and we're going to have the Battle Hymn of the Republic singing behind it with the chorus of DuPage.
Thank you very much. Before I give the speech, I'd like to prep it. In July of 1863, from the 1st to the 3rd, 160,000 Americans threw themselves at each other. They smashed into each other in the small town of Gettysburg, Pennsylvania. 50,000 Americans had combined casualties of 50,000. Union losses that 3 days were 14,000 wounded. We still do not know how many died of their wounds, and 3,155 were killed in action. Because of those 3,155 killed in action, Abraham Lincoln went to Gettysburg to dedicate one of the first national cemeteries. And at the presentation, he came up with probably the best speech that has ever been written. 77 years ago, our fathers brought forth upon this continent a new nation, conceived in liberty and dedicated to the proposition that all men are created equal. Now we are engaged in a great civil war, testing whether that nation or any nation so conceived and so dedicated can long endure. We are met on a great battlefield of that war. We have come to dedicate a portion of that field as the final resting place for those who gave their lives that this nation might live. It is altogether fitting and proper that we do this. But in a larger sense, we cannot consecrate, we cannot hallow this ground. The brave men, living and dead, who struggled here have consecrated it far beyond our poor powers to add or detract. The world will little note, no long remember what we say here, but they can never forget what they did here. It is for us rather to be dedicated to the unfinished work which they that fought here so far nobly advanced. It is rather for us to be dedicated to this great task remaining before us. From these honored dead, we take increased devotion, one that we complete devotion from which they gave their full devotion. That we here highly resolve that these honored dead shall not have died in vain, and that this nation, under God, shall have a new birth of freedom, and the government of the people, by the people, and for the people, shall not perish from this earth. Abraham Lincoln, 19 November, 1863, Gettysburg, Pennsylvania. Thank you.
Take your post.
Please be seated. Now I'd like to invite General Wendell to come forward for our Memorial Day prayer and comments.
I can tell it's 17 years. I just avoided a cicada. I want to go back a number of years, many years. I remember December 7th, 1941, as my older brother came into the house announcing that Pearl Harbor had been bombed. I go back just a little before that, and World War II actually began the day before I entered first grade. I'm not going to reveal my age. Can you get that for me, or someone that can bend over quicker? I knew I'd get down to pick it up, but getting up, that's harder. I take you back to the little town in which I grew up, not far from here, of just 7,000 people at the time. When I was 8 years old, on a summer afternoon, I walked along our street eastward, came to the corner house, and there were a good number of cars parked along the way. And I saw a young man from that house standing in his yard. I stopped to talk to him, and he told me the reason for all the people gathered, because they were bidding him farewell. The next day, he was going to join the United States Navy. Soon thereafter, I noticed that in my community, as is true across America, people were displaying what's called family service flags, similar to the one that you see pictured here, of a blue flag indicating that one member of that family was in military service. And sure enough, a flag such as this began to fly in the window of that family, indicating that young man had joined the United States Navy. It wasn't not long thereafter that in the next block on the opposite side of the street, there was a family that displayed a flag with 3 stars. All 3 sons were members of the United States military in World War II. As the war raged on, I noticed a change. The blue star at the end of our block had been removed, and in its place, a gold star. The gold star indicated that this young man had laid down his life in the protection of your freedom and mine. And as time went on, as I went into the next block, I noticed that flag had been removed, and it had been replaced by a flag with 3 gold stars. All 3 boys in that family had laid down their lives to secure the freedom that you and I enjoy today. And I think I lost my notes again.
Oh, you did? It's right here.
Thank you. When we think of the history of our military, during the course of years, from its inception until today, some 41 million Americans have served, have worn a uniform of their branch of service. 16 million did so during World War II. a nation which then had 132 million inhabitants and a military force of 16 million. However, today, of that 16 million, only 119,000 remain as I speak to you this morning. And it is stated that within less than 3 years, the number will become 0. Yes, we owe so much to those who have gone before. I, as a lad of 6 years of age when World War II began, and 8 years of age when I saw this happen in our block. I was 17 years of age in high school when I joined the Naval Reserve. My mom and dad had to sign papers because I was only 17. After I did that service, a number of years went by, and then I was offered an opportunity to serve as a chaplain for the United States Air Force, which I did for another 20 years. So I thank God for the opportunity that I have had a small part in our nation's military. But I also want to take and thank others who protect us, our police force and our firefighters. We read recently of the police officers who wantonly have had their lives taken from them in service of protection for you and me. And when we think in terms of the firefighters, well, let me tell you just a little story. One of my granddaughters is here today, young Gracie. And Grace is just finished her junior year in high school. In her high school, they have extracurricular activities that you couldn't go in. If someone wants to do something special in cooking, they can do that. Now, Grace's mother is sitting right here. And she didn't want to do that. She wanted to do firefighting. And one of the pictures that we have is of her having climbed up 60 feet on a fire rescue ladder. And I asked her, were you fearful when you got up 60 feet? She said, no, not at all. And so even from a young age, young people are serving, whether it be to protect us in the police force, to protect us as a fireman, to protect us as an ambulance driver, whatever. And we thank God for those who do continue to serve in the United States military, and if without them, they are the ones who have gained our freedom, and we are the ones who support them in order that we might maintain our freedom. And so I'm going to ask that you bow with me as we pause for a moment of prayer. And our Father God, I thank you this day for this land, for those who have gone before in leadership, whether it be politically or militarily. We thank you for the men and women gathered here who have served. We thank you for those who have laid down their lives in order that we might maintain our lives in this free land. And so, our God, we thank you for the privilege given us, people whose origins are from other parts of this world, and yet united as one nation under God in these great United States of America. I thank you for this, and I pray in the name of Christ, my Lord. Amen.
And now a musical selection by Brian Costello. Now I'd like to invite John Quigley, President and CEO of Elmhurst Chamber of Commerce and Industry, to read the names of our fallen since the last we met as a special recognition.
Thank you, Bill. Good morning. See, a number of you appear to be a little overdressed for such a balmy day, but we'll make it through. As was just mentioned, down to 119,000 World War II veterans remain with us and leaving us all too quickly. When I first started doing this list 25 years ago, it was 250 to 300 names every Veterans Day and every Memorial Day. And now I am down to less than a page. And here are the names of those we have lost since we last gathered here on Veterans Day. Raymond J. Allen Jr., Herbert Andrews, Robert Baumgartner, Carl Henry Berger Jr., James Caputo, Anthony Tony Cardea, James W. Carson, Peter Colucci, John Costello, Thomas R. Cox, Reginald Darley, Julian C. Gallant, Donald Guy, Harold Hillen, John G. Calamiris, Joseph Kohler, Kevin Kopp, Michael Kuda, Eric Larson, Henry Lazaro, Frank A. Maggio, Fred Mazzoni, Tom Miles, Darrell Nelson, William O'Connor, John Petrosky, Stanley W. Newski, Henry Ponarelli, Donald Prince, William Reardon, Raymond R. Reimer, Thomas Rigdon, Raymond A. Roselle, Lionel J. Rothbard, Peter N. Sabo, Raymond Sansone, Joseph Spengler, Edward C. Straka, James P. Valancius, Salvatore Vella, Jack White, Kenneth Earl Winchell, Raymond Zombeck. There is one other name I'm going to read who's not with us, and for as long as I can remember was with us, sitting right over there with these other men of military service who have been part of our parade for years. Major Edwin H. Walker IV, United States Marine Corps. Sorry. Last January, Edwin H. Walker IV of Maywood died at the age of 91, closing an exemplary life of service to his God, his country, and every community that he touched. The former United States Marine Corps major and chaplain was a fixture at Elmhurst Memorial Day and Veterans Day remembrances for more than a quarter of a century. A Fulbright scholar and magna cum laude graduate of Center College in Kentucky, Edwin served in the Marine Corps for more than 12 years, including at Guantanamo Bay during the Cuban Missile Crisis and later in Vietnam. In 1989, Edwin began a 35-year tenure as president and CEO of the Maywood Chamber of Commerce, a peer of mine, and he was the individual who ensured that Maywood's annual Baton Day events were staged on the second Sunday of each September. That just scratches the surface of Edwin's contributions to his faith and his friends. Not too bad at all for a farm boy from Paint Lick, Kentucky. I normally ask you to remember people in your heart and in your mind, and in honor of Edwin, I'm going to count down 3, 2, 1, and ask you all to yell out Semper Fi as best you can. 3, 2, 1. Semper Fi! One other thing, as some are aware, I have announced my pending retirement as president and CEO of the Elmhurst Chamber of Commerce and Industry. This marks my 25th year as co-chair of the Memorial Day Parade Committee and potentially final year? If so, I want to take this opportunity to thank Bill Shanklin, John Scudder, Rus Strahan, and all of my friends at Elmhurst American Legion THB Post 187. Jim Rogers, Angela Ferrantino, and the crew from the Elmhurst Park District. My alma mater, Elmhurst University, the city of Elmhurst, and last but certainly not least, my parade committee co-chair, Ralph Pechanio. Please give all of these individuals a great round of applause.
And now a musical selection by Chorus of DuPage.
Don't worry, I'm not going to sing a solo, okay? All right, this song many of you might not recognize. It's called Our Vets of Nam. And the words were written by somebody named Peter Mitchell. And this arrangement was done by a fellow named Doug Smith, who we've sang with, many of us have sang with in choruses over the years. So more than 58,000 men from all branches of our armed services gave their lives in duty to their country during the Vietnam War. This song is dedicated as a tribute with gratitude and humility to all the veterans who served there. So again, it might not be familiar to you, but
Rifle squad, fire a 3-round volley. Bugler, taps, present, hook. Order. Huh. Please be seated. Dismiss the rifle squad. And now we'll have another selection by the Chorus of DuPage. Now I'd like to invite our mayor, Scott Levin, to come up and make a few remarks.
Thank you for being here. Good morning, everyone. On behalf of the City of Elmhurst, it's my privilege to address you on this Memorial Day. This is such an important day for our nation. I'm a lawyer by background, so I have a little theme here. Most people don't know there's actually a federal law that does more than designate the fourth Monday in May as Memorial Day. The law requests the President to issue a proclamation calling on the people of the United States to observe Memorial Day by praying according to their individual religious faith, to pray for permanent peace, and designating a period of time on Memorial Day during which the people may unite in prayer, calling on the people to do that together. And President Biden has, as presidents before him, issued a proclamation designating the hour of 11 o'clock local time as the time when people might unite to do that. And interestingly, Congress, by a different law, also designated 3 o'clock p.m. local time for Americans to observe in their own way the national moment of remembrance. Now, it doesn't seem terribly odd that the President and the Congress might have two viewpoints on something like that. But here we are at the hour of 11 o'clock at Wilder Park, as we are every year, observing Memorial Day in the finest of Elmhurst traditions. I thank you, each of you, for taking the time to attend, and I must say I regret that of a town of so many, that those that are here must stand to represent the whole community. And I see people here year after year after year who are doing that. And I really thank you for that, because it is so important. And the others need to know why it's important to pay homage to the brave soldiers of our armed services who made the ultimate sacrifice to make sure that our freedom endures. The President's 2024 proclamation as a meaningful quote, as meaningful as one I've ever heard for Memorial Day. Quote, "Since our nation's founding, members of our armed forces have been willing to lay down their lives, not for a person or a place, but for an idea unlike any other in human history, the idea of the United States of America. We are the only nation in the world founded on the idea that we are all created equal and deserve to be treated equally throughout our lives. And the cost of freedom has been dear. 116,000 casualties in World War I, 405,000 in World War II, 36,000 in the Korean War, 58,000 in the Vietnam War, 7,000 in the War on Terror, including Iraq and Afghanistan, plus thousands more in other U.S. wars. And the goal of all of this tragedy is not only to protect our freedom, but with the hope that someday there will be peace throughout the world. Yet we must not forget the human cost of our wars and the impact it has on the families and loved ones who are left behind. I want to express my appreciation today to the American Legion THB Post 187, the Chamber of Commerce, the Park District, Elmhurst Student Veterans Association, the Veterans Commission, and all of you who work to make this ceremony happen year after year. As we gather with our families on this beautiful day, almost, let us remember and never forget and always be grateful for the ultimate sacrifice made by those we honor today. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Now I'd like to introduce our military officers that are here before us. So I'm going to start with General Wendell. You're the best looking one here, so we'll start with you. Then Robert Brackey, Colonel, U.S. Army. Martin Jensen, Lieutenant Colonel, U.S. Army. Stephen and Lori Tompos. Come on, Steve, where are you there? I know you're there somewhere. David Fry, Commander. Tyrone Clark, Chief Warrant Officer, 3rd Class, U.S. Navy. Is Miguel here? I haven't met Miguel, I don't think. Cameron Kazmar, a personal friend of mine, U.S. Marine. Melanie, is Melanie here? Nice to meet you, Melanie. Thank you for being here. Are any of you on active duty, or are you are active duty? Well, thank you for your service. And now it's that time that you've been waiting for, Russ, and we've been waiting for, and that is to recognize our Grand Marshal. I'd like to ask John Quigley and Ralph Pechanio to come forward. John, I've already introduced. Ralph is the chairman of our Veterans Commission and will present the award.
This memorial was dedicated May 31st, 1993. This marks the 31st year that we have recognized a Grand Marshal of the Elmhurst Memorial Day Parade. It's with great pride that John and I have a friend in Russ, and we are most pleased that he has agreed to be our Grand Marshal. And so now we introduce to you our 106th Annual Elmhurst Memorial Day Parade Grand Marshal Rus Strahan, Petty Officer, 2nd Class, U.S. Navy, Vietnam. Would the Elmhurst veterans who are here, Elmhurst University veterans, come here so that we can unfurl the banner? They had promised me. Well, perhaps. Well, we have a former Grand Marshal who's going to help us do this, which is great. Another Russ. Can't beat that. We got 2 Russes. All right. With that, we present to you our Grand Marshal.
Thank you, Ralph. Thank you very much. I've had a number of people ask me if I had written my speech, and I said I wasn't going to. And then I did, but I promise I'll keep it short. Thank you for being here with us on this beautiful day, as it turned out to be. And I want to thank both Ralph Pechanio and John Quigley, the co-chairs of the Elmhurst Parade Committee, and the rest of the committee for selecting me as your Grand Marshal today. I am deeply honored at having been selected for this position. I felt that our country needed help to overcome another country's issues. So we had a job to do. I could assist, so I volunteered and went to Vietnam and did my job. I am not and was not ever a hero. I did meet some while I was there, but I did my job and came home and went on with my life. One thing I want to add at this point in time is we must never again let anyone blame our troops for political decisions that are made. Ever. After I was selected for this honor, as I said, I've had a number of people ask me if I'd written my speech, and I said no, and I'm here, and I'm going to be brief, because I gave an awful lot of thought to what I could say today. And no matter how hard I try, I can't come up with anything beyond what our 58,220 comrades in arms, the men and women of the Army, Navy, Marine Corps, Air Force, and Coast Guard gave. They gave the final full measure of what it means to be an American patriot. And they were given a task and they set out to accomplish it. They never asked the cost, they just did their jobs. And that's what we all did. We put on our uniforms and we went and did our jobs. American fighting men and women have been doing this since 1776, and we shall continue to do so. And we all ask the same thing: remember us. Even more, remember them. Don't ever forget the cost of freedom. Thank you very much today.
Russ is too humble to tell you about where he served, but he was on these boats down in the Delta. I'm not sure what they called them, but what are they, speed boats or swift boats? Yeah. Riverine. Not a very healthy place to be. Congratulations again, Russ. Well deserved. Okay. This is where I have some fun in the program because I get to tell officers way above my rank what to do. So officers, please stand. I would like you to go to the post of your service, give a salute, and turn around and face the audience. And then when you hear your service song, march back to your seat. Are we good with that? That's good? Okay, take your post. Service song, just kindly walk back to your chair. Or in the case of the Marines, he's got to stand there until it's finished. Okay. United States Army. In the audience, stand if you're a member of the Army. United States Marine Corps. United States Navy. United States Air Force. U.S. Space Force. U.S. Coast Guard. Thank you very much, and please be seated. And now we're going to have other race laid at the roll of remembrance by our Mayor, Scott Levin. And will be followed by the American Legion and the auxiliary of the American Legion. Next, the American Legion and the auxiliary. While they're coming up, I should also say that we have the Sons of the American Legion, some of which are here in the audience. That's a part of our organization. And now, another selection, Brian Costello. Now I'd like to invite Crystal Forbes from the Martha Everson chapter of the Daughters of the American Revolution. They would like to read a poem for you.
Good morning. The American's Creed was written by William Tyler Page, a longtime congressional employee. He wrote it in 1917 for a newspaper competition that sought to encourage duty towards America. In April 1918, Page's composition was adopted by the U.S. House of Representatives. This creed exemplifies the duty that soldiers have aspired to by accepting the responsibility of military service from the time of our nation's founding to the present. This creed speaks to the values held dear by the Daughters of the American Revolution, the organization I represent here today, which is why DAR members recite this creed at each of our chapter gatherings. Today, we offer these words to honor and remember those who now lay at rest for the sacrifice and duty they gave in service to America. I believe in the United States of America as a government of the people, by the people, for the people, whose just powers are derived from the consent of the governed. A democracy within a republic, a sovereign nation of many sovereign states, a perfect union, one and inseparable, established upon those principles of freedom, equality, justice, and humanity for which American patriots sacrificed their lives and fortunes. I therefore believe it is my duty to my country to love it, to support its Constitution, to obey its laws, to respect its flag, and to defend it against all enemies.
Thank you, Crystal. And by now, Chorus of DuPage has to be getting a little tired of singing, but we'd like to hear one more selection. Thank you very much. Great job. Now I'd like to invite Dave Olberg, the Executive Director of our Historical Museum here in Elmhurst, to come up to make an announcement.
As we observe Memorial Day and approach the 80th anniversary of D-Day, the Elmhurst History Museum has taken measures to remember those who served their country during World War II and the civilians in Elmhurst who served on the home front to ensure victory. Between 1941 and 1945, nearly 2,000 Elmhurst residents answered their nation's call to arms. Those who gave the last full measure of devotion and service to their country are commemorated here in this sacred spot. Now, behind our sons fighting overseas was an entire society mobilized as never before or since in our nation's history. Local industries converted from consumer goods to wartime production at unprecedented speed. Rosie the Riveter served as an iconic symbol for the millions of women who replaced men on factory floors to support the war effort. Local citizens observed strict rations on goods needed for the effort. Our own Gloss Mansion, now home to the Elmhurst History Museum, housed not only the local war rations office, but also our Department of Civilian Defense. Even our children joined the effort, leading scrap drives, paper drives, grease drives, and more. Now, those stories are currently being showcased at the Elmhurst History Museum through our current exhibition, Victory at Home, 1941 to 1945. I invite you to join us through August 18th to learn more about how our community came together to turn the tide of war and defeat the Axis powers. You will also find in the downtown area near City Hall a series of Hometown Heroes banners commemorating some of the Elmhurst residents who answered the nation's call to arms during the Second World War. I would invite you to join us as well at the American Legion Hall here in Elmhurst on Sunday, July 14th, as we welcome the Irving Sisters, who will be sharing the music of World War II as made famous by the Andrews Sisters. Operation Support Our Troops will be on site for the event, and we encourage you to make donations to join our modern home front efforts. Please take a moment this summer to visit the museum and reflect on the sacrifices our citizens made in service to their nation, overseas and on the home front, and to remember today and every day the fallen who answered the call to arms and faithfully served our nation in times of need.
We're almost finished. At this time, I'd like to invite Justin Riskus from York High School, he's an educator there, to come up and make an announcement.
My name is Justin Riskus. I'm a history teacher at York High School. Many thanks to Bill for giving me a moment on this solemn occasion. I've had the privilege to get to know a number of Elmhurst veterans and appreciate your sense of duty, patriotism, and the fine example you set for our youth. On this Memorial Day, I would like to remember the 108 York graduates who gave their lives in service to their country. 83 in World War II, 5 in Korea, 15 in Vietnam, 1 in 1997, and 4 in Afghanistan and Iraq. John Henry Curtin graduated from York in 1961 and went on to attend the University of Wisconsin-Madison before starting his military service. While at York, John was on the staff of Wise Tales, York Drama, was an intramural basketball co-champion, and served on the executive board of Jazz Club. First Lieutenant Curtin was an infantry unit commander in the 173rd Airborne Brigade when he started his tour in Vietnam in November 1967. On January 2nd, 1968, he was killed in action in Phu Yen Province, South Vietnam. He was 23 years old. Like John, each of these individuals has a story, and to keep their stories alive, we are hoping to erect a memorial at York. In addition to a monument listing the names of these 108 individuals, the effort would include a website that provides information on their time spent at York and in the service. We are grateful for the community support and wholeheartedly appreciate District 205 and York High School, as well as Frank Truce at Truce Monument Company, for their assistance. Thank you.
You see this board here. Ralph called me yesterday, I think it was. We want to try something a little different this year. Would you like to come up and make a few comments? And we want the community to honor the veterans related to them or that they know, and we can memorialize them by putting data up here in this box. And Ralph will talk to you a little bit more about it.
Okay, thank you, Bill. For a moment, I thought you forgot about it.
No.
Okay.
Don't put it past me, though.
I'm going to be both a little melancholy, but we'll go with this. On this most significant day of the year in Elmhurst, Bill and I, as the operation members of the Veterans Commission, have an important modification to announce. As over the past few years, punctuated by the pandemic, fewer and fewer sponsors have come forward to have us conduct full military programs to honor individual deceased veterans. We have honored over probably 500 in the 31 years that the memorial has been here. But in the past few years, for one reason or other, people have been reluctant to come forward and recognize a veteran. So we have determined to simplify the ways to honor these veterans. Anyone who wishes to have a veteran's military record posted on the honor roll can simply notify City Hall and submit a DD 214. We will take it from there. And we hope to convert the honor roll board that you see here to an electronic one. We will no longer conduct scheduled formal military services on behalf of these individual veterans. Friends and families will be free to hold services of their choosing as they see appropriate. We hope that many people will come forward and recognize a veteran from their family and from their lives. Thank you.
Before the benediction, I'd like to let everyone know that their lunch is being served at the American Legion, 310 West Butterfield Road, Spring Road in Butterfield. Please join us there for a lunch. General, it's my honor to introduce you again for the benediction.
I'd like to ask that we all stand as we close this time of remembrance and a moment of prayer. And our Father in God, we thank you for a nation such as this and for the blessing that each of us has to be a part of this great land. Our families coming from various parts of the world and uniting as one country, one nation, one people. And we pray for each one who has or has had loved ones or close friends in military service, and for those who have lost someone dear to them in the protection of the freedom that we enjoy this very day. And so, our Father God, we thank you for this day, for the tribute paid to those who served and gave. And I thank you in the name of Christ, my Lord. Amen.
Please remain standing. Retire the colors. Ladies and gentlemen, that's the end of our ceremony. Thank you for being here. Hope to see you down at the American Legion Post. And come out again next year. Good to see you.